Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai. All praises, all honor, all glory be unto our Heavenly Father Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who is our Lord and Savior, are the Messiah and Redeemer for the nation of Israel, through or in the Holy Spirit. Double honors to our apostles and elder bishops at Great Millstone that taught us his truth and who are ruling well through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. To you, Akim, that make up the hopeful elect, being teachers, our prophets of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, that are set up to push this word and to constantly warn to the rest of you believers that are throughout the four corners of the earth, you Akim and few Akwathium, you men, women, and children that believe with your whole heart, mind, body, and spirit and make up the rest of the hopeful elect, waiting for these last and final prophecies to happen in the earth. Peace be unto you and shalom as well. All right, China is the beta test or the testing ground for the NWO. And looking at this country and all of the things that are happening in it, all right, this is a warning. All right, this is a show, all right, an example of what's getting ready to happen throughout the rest of the world. All right, but it's going to be on an even harsher level than what it is in China and many other places, such as these European countries, all right, for various different reasons. I mean, ultimately, when it comes down to this place, which is Babylon, the great whore, all right, a heavy judgment from Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai is going to go out over this place. But there's many different articles that are out there dealing with the situations that are going on in China. All right, one of the last things that I reported on was these concentration camps, all right, that they were setting up. All right, their economy is in a downward spiral. All right, they have a social credit system over there, which that social credit system links, all right, everything together. All right, their digital currency or their digital yuan is linked to that social credit system, which if you have a poor credit score, then that determines, all right, pretty much how your life goes. All right, you can be shut out from society, especially if you are one of those that are in the mind state that you don't want to bow down, all right, to that system that they're running over there. All right, similar things are going to be done, all right, throughout the world to those that don't want to bow down and worship the image of the beast. All right, which the image of the beast is not an actual image. It's not the image of Caesar Borgia, all right, or Jesus Christos. All right, it's not an actual statue or image, but it's a system that is set up and is ran and is based upon how ancient Rome was ran. So if you don't want to bow down and worship that system, are their laws that they're enacting, their legislation, are accepting their culture and way of life, then they're going to shut you out. The time is going to come if you refuse to accept their order, as well as taking their physical and carnal mark, all right, which is ultimately the mark of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, because he's the one that gave them the technology to create it and has put it on their minds to push it. All right, you will be separated from society. All right, depending on, you know, how your views are towards this country, all right, towards their policies. All right, they'll shut you out to the point where you won't be able to buy, you won't be able to sell, or you won't be able to interact within the society. All right. So the first article that I want to go to is going to be this one. And this is what inspired the lesson which just comes from the Blacklisted News. It says, "Why China Sucks. It's a beta test for the NWO," which we understand that the NWO means the New World Order, but it also goes under other names as well, all right, such as the Great Reset. So what's happening over there is going to happen everywhere else. You know, when you go into scriptures like the book of 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, and bear with me, Baba Kushai, as I search for it. You know, I may have to find it. Bear with me, Baba Kushai. This is 2nd Ezra 15 and 46. "And thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person, woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredoms, that they might please the glory of thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredoms with thee. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore said Yahweh, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death." You know, which when it comes down to that particular nation, you know, or that particular country, which is known as China, which is in Asia, you know, they have made themselves like unto Babylon, the great whore, in many different instances. All right, starting with one of them. All right, China was known for having empires, you know, or emperors or dynasties, you know, but now they have prime ministers, all right, a president, all right, which is nothing more than a reflection, all right, of the great whore. It's nothing more but a similarity between that place and Babylon. And then on top of that, all right, you have a bunch of colleges and, you know, a bunch of Chinese men and women, you know, that go to different places where Esau Edom is and study at their colleges and learn their ways, their behavior, the way of life. Or they have the Mo lifestyle or the alphabet lifestyle over there in China as well. All right, they did away with actual gold and silver as real money, and they accepted that monetary system, all right, which is influenced upon the world by the great whore, in the sense that they use a paper currency, which was known as the yuan. But then later on, all right, they implemented what is known as a digital yuan. All right, so they're following in the same footsteps, which further proves that what's happening over there is nothing but a test in the beta run for what's getting ready to happen throughout the earth. And we're seeing how they're retaliating towards their citizens. We're seeing how they're being treated in a draconian measure. And this is something that Hassan Campbell was mentioning within the video that he did, in which he had Tazariak on, which as Apostle Ramlife said, Tazariak totally fumbled, you know, when it came down to addressing the situation concerning the MOTB, which is the RFID CHIP and the brain CHIP. All right, as Hassan Campbell was breaking it down, Apostle Ramlife said that he sounded like, you know, somebody that's an Israelite. You know, the beloved elder Karatazar was mentioning how, you know, he's going into more prophecies than Tazariak. All right, which Tazariak just jumped straight into another topic that had nothing to do with that important prophecy, which it is an important prophecy. So we're seeing the draconian measures, all right, of the implementation of that new society that they're establishing over there. And we're seeing how ill it's going for the people, in so much that you have officers in hazmat suits that's busting into individuals' houses and that are snatching them away by force and sending them off to concentration camps. Which the videos that you see, it could be a lot worse, all right, because there could be a lot more blood, you know, that's shed in the regards of people being snatched away by force. So in places like the places where we stay, we are going to see more deadly force. We are going to see more murder. We are going to see more killing. All right, because this place is getting ready to speak. All right, as that dragon. The book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So this beast is dealing with America, and America is going to push around the world this policy of the MOTB system, the RFID CHIP and the brain CHIP. All right, and many nations are going to do likewise following the whore. So this beast that had two horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon is speaking about America. Now, it come off peaceful, all right, with this is Democrats, all right, it's Republicans, all right, with this democracy, all right, it's policies, as if, you know, they care for the people, all right, as if they care for people's rights, as if they're ethical. But the time is going to come when they're going to show who they truly are, and they're going to speak as that dragon. Now, of course, all right, going into the word for dragon, which is G1404, the word there is Dracon. All right, and Dracon goes back to what? Draconian. All right, Draconian. So what's happening in China is going to happen here within this country, but it's going to be far worse. Now, reading in this article, it says for over a decade, there has been an open globalist obsession with the Chinese governmental model. So if there's an obsession for that model, what does that mean? That means that other nations are going to try to implement it as well. A love affair, if you will. Many top proponents of global civilization, including Henry Kissinger and George Soros, have praised China in the past and hinted that the communist country is burgeoning into a major player within the NWO. Soros expressed this exact sentiment way back in 2009, around the time that China began countering the IMF and issuing trillions of yuan-based treasury debt in order to join their global currency initiative. Several years later, China was inducted into the IMF Special Drawing Rights Basket. The CCP now avidly supports the creation of the new global currency system with the IMF in control. This is a reality I have been writing about for many years. China does not stand in opposition to global centralization under the control of Western oligarchs. All they want is a prominent seat at the table when the Great Reset kicks off and total centralization begins. But the above information only suggests an economic relationship between China and the globalists. Does the alliance go even further than that? Recently, Cotton Schwab of the WEF gave an interview to the Chinese government-controlled CGTN at the APEC summit. In their interview, Schwab praises China as a role model of many other nations. That might shock some people, considering China's economy is faltering when their global experts plunging in 2022 and their housing market in shambles. This decline is a large part due to the global stagflation, which is a stagnant demand in a country's economy, all right, a low GDP, all right, as well as inflation. So it's stagflation mixed with inflation. I mean, it's a stagnation mixed with inflation. But also due to the insane zero-C policy, which has kept the nation under P lockdown for years. Remember all those C cultists who were cheering for China last year, remember when they claimed that China was a perfect example of the lockdowns are necessary and proof that they work. Yeah, those people were morons. China's economy is now in the free fall, and their manufacturing base under extreme stress from the mandates. Furthermore, it would appear that the Chinese populace is finally fed up with the draconian conditions and are rising in revolt. So yeah, there's protests and there's insurrections that are happening over there. Now, they don't care about their economy being in a free fall because they're in the midst of a GR. You know, they're in the midst of a great reset, you know, pretty much themselves, in which they're going to reset the whole economy. And this is what it looks like when a country is going through a reset. All right, so they're going to have a central bank digital currency, which eventually is going to be tied to the RFID CHIP and the Brain CHIP, just as well as other nations. All right, which also is tied to a social credit score. Now, this comes from the Horizons, and it says China's social credit system. Explain what is it and how does it work? It says, what is China's social credit system? China's social credit system infographic. So these are basically the different highlights, all right, or guide within the article. So starting from here, it says the China social credit system is a broad regulatory framework intended to report the trustworthiness of individuals, corporations, and governmental entities across China. In the introduction, we explain what the Chinese social credit system is, how it differs from financial credit ratings elsewhere, and how it impacts on individual and companies operating within China. Yeah, now, if you're an individual operating within China and you're not in a good standing or you're not trustworthy to its government, then guess what? It affects how you're able to spend your money. If you're able to make money, it affects where you live. It affects what you can purchase. It affects how you travel. All right, it affects who can socialize with you. You know, what programs are offered to you. All right, if you can go to a hospital, if you can't, you know, it basically shuts you out from society if you don't operate according to their guidelines. Now, reading here, this is one. It says the goal of the Chinese social credit system is to provide a holistic assessment of an individual's or a company's trustworthiness. So what is an assessment? When you look up the word assessment means an evaluation, the evaluation or estimation of the nature, quality, or ability of someone or something. So being assessed by them, if they determine that you are not, following the guidelines or in accordance to their system, then you won't be eligible, for, certain activities. You won't be eligible to, go to certain venues. You won't be eligible to, buy particular things. OK, depending on your credit system. So similarities to that is going to be done in other places as well, to where you're going to have governments that set up a CBDC system that is connected to the MOTB, which also has a social credit score. Reading on, this is 2. The China social credit system, while still in development, is arguably an extension of an existing social ranking and ratings in China, which have existed for millennia. 3. The consequences of a poor social credit score could be serious. It may affect travel prospects, employment, access to finance, and the ability to enter into contracts, which means that, based upon your poor credit system, nobody will want to give you a loan. They won't allow you to rent a car. They won't allow you to, rent a home, or buy a home. On the other hand, a positive credit score could have a range, all right, of business transactions. 4, it is essential that any foreign business consolidating or establishing their presence in China seeks professional advice for managing a social credit score. This applies both to individual scores and the corporate social credit score. Now, give me just a second, because I want to jump down and see if they have any more information on how, the social credit score would affect, an individual. So bear with me, Baba Kushah, as I search for this. All right. It says here, how does the social credit system work? The China social credit system rates individuals based on the aggregation and analysis of data. So there's a reason why they're collecting all of this data on individuals through social media, all right, through your phone, through your TV, damn near through everything. Every single thing is collecting data on you. All right. Why? Because based upon your habits and the things that you do, are the things that you're interested in, all right, they can determine off that data if you are willing to follow their way. All right, if you're willing to accept, all right, their policies. All right, if you're willing to bow down and worship the image of the beast. All right. And based upon that, all right, they'll shut you out. They already know who's going to take the MOTB and who's not going to take it. Reading on, it says in some trials, this has involved a single numerical score using between 1 and 1,000, like a FICO score, or a later grade, usually from A to D. This information is acquired from a range of sources, including individual businesses, including big tech. So what is big tech? All right. Big tech, that's another name for Big Brother. So big tech, let's look it up. What is big tech? Big tech, also known as tech giants, is a grouping of the most dominant companies in the information technology industry, most centered in where? Where they centered at? I bet you it's going to say the United States. Let's look it up. Most centered in the United States. Yep. All right. Hey, this place for you to say that you have allies, man, you spy on every damn body. All right. You spy even on your allies. So anyways, let's go back. It says in government entities, some of the information is siloed and accessible only by the individual regional or central government authority. But in many cases, the information is shared with other regulators through the centralized database, such as the NCISP. For example, some of the factors that can be considered in giving a corporate social credit rating score, whether a business has paid taxes. All right. So this is dealing with the business aspect of it. Punishment in China's social credit system. As the China social credit system is still in a state of evolution, it is impossible to say whether certainly what exactly the negative consequences are. That said, based on those elements that are currently in place, as well as existing regional pilots, potential negative effects of a bad score once fully implemented included. Now, they say that, you have to be tested, to get the soy sauce, or a test to see if you have, the whatchamacallit. And based upon that, that would determine, your social credit system. They were saying that that's going to be linked to, like the real ID or something along the lines of that. I just want to go back here real fast because I think it mentions it within this article. Yeah, it says the Chinese government sent hazmat-clad troops to put down the rebellion while stumping protesters into the ground. Take note and remembers this while when you hear about Apple's hostility towards Elon Musk, from free speech policies on Twitter. Apple loves authoritarianism, as do the globalist-run corporation. China continues to terrorize the citizenry with secret police visits to vocal dissenters in a fleet of drones hovering above the cities, monitoring foot traffic and blaring propaganda messages. Some drones even spray unknown chemicals across the entire blocks. In the meantime, China has fully implemented a digital PASSPORTS system tied to public venues and retail stores. You cannot function in a major Chinese city without an up-to-date PASSPORT or a negative COVID, test taken every couple of weeks. See? So you see how, that's tied together, but it's also linked to public venues and retail stores. All right. So if you don't have, the necessary credentials, then what do they do? That affects your credit score, and you're not able to go to particular public venues. You're not able to do certain things, which means that you're shut out. All right. Travel bans, school bans, reduce employment prospects, which means jobs won't hire you. All right. Increase scrutiny. All right. Which scrutiny is what? Let's look up scrutiny. Scrutiny is careful examination. All right. Critical observation or examination. All right. They're going to treat you like shit. Public shaming. All right. See, the time is going to come when that's going to happen even here. All right. Where our faces are plastered. All right. On the news, on the media. All right. They're going to try to publicly shame us, by making it seem as if, hey, look, first of all, that happened. All right. They try to make so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans the face, all right, of the CPAN. And people begin to wake up to that shit. So anyways, this is getting ready to happen all over the earth. I've been doing a lot of reading. Let me hit some scriptures, Revelation 3:10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Now, there's a root word, which is periazo, but I'm going to go to the root of periazo, which is G3984, which is peria. And when you go into peria, it says a trial, experience, attempt, and attempt a thing, to make a trial of a thing or of a person, to have a trial, to experience, learn, know by experience. So there's a major test that's going to come, which is going to be the MOTB, all right, the RFID, CHIP, and the brain CHIP. And they're going to try to get you to consent by way of shutting you out, by way of making it to where you're not able to live and function within their society, because your life, all right, your way of life, your how can I say it? The daily life as you know it is going to change, and it's going to take for you to receive their carnal mark, or the carnal mark rather, because it's Yahweh Bashmi Shai's mark, and he's just setting Esau up to do it. So you won't be able to, function within their society unless you have that mark. And then once you've taken that mark, which is the RFID, CHIP, and the brain CHIP, then they will give you a license to freely move and maneuver within their society. But if you take it, it's a wrap for you. You're going to perish. You're going to die. All right. You're going to be destroyed. So this is the Strong's definition of peria. And it says through the idea of piercing. So there's a test that's coming, and it's going to be through the idea of piercing. Now, they're not going to force you or force it into your body. However, they will make life in the way of living hard. All right. They will take people and throw them into concentration camps. They will allow the economy to collapse to where, the physical or tangible paper notes and the coinage is no longer valuable. And the only thing that is valuable will be the new money that they offer and issue, which will be a CBDC, which will be connected to the MOTB. So all of this is going to be connected. Now, going to Revelation, the 13th chapter. All right, in verse 11 again, and I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So once again, this will be that draconian system in which the penalty of, not complying, to their system will be for you to be shut out. All right, for you to be X out, all right, of their system, cut off, not being able to buy, not being able to sell. And ultimately, that will lead to death. All right, unless you are part of the elect that truly believes in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. All right, there's going to be a lot of people that die and perish. And there's going to be many more who refuse to die and perish. So they're going to conform. They're going to consent to receiving the MOTB, which is the RFID CHIP, and the brain CHIP, because they don't want to die of starvation. So reading on, and this is jumping down to verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, when you go into the word for killed, all right, there's a Greek word that show up, but then there's a root word, and that root word is apo. All right, now apo means to separate, because that's what Esau wants to do. All right, for those that will not bow down to worship the image of the beast, they will be separated from society. All right, you will be on the run. All right, as pilgrims, all right, in the earth, having no certain dwelling place. All right, you won't be able to go to a store. You wouldn't be able to go to a CVS. All right, consumer value services, to be able to purchase, your protein powder and your non-GMO cookies, or your smart popcorn and, your ginger ale. All right, you won't be able to go there and purchase any of those items without having the M, all right, to the T to the B. All right, the M to the O to the T to the B. All right, that's the only way that you will have access to being able to buy and sell, which means that you have to bow down, all right, to accept their policies, their way of life, all right, their laws and their legislation that they draft, all right, within the Senate and to pass on to the Congress, and it gets passed. And what's gonna happen is the scripture says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees in that right grievousness which they had prescribed." So they're gonna make it a law. They're gonna draft it as a law, that the MOTB is mandatory. All right, here it is. They're letting you know that the soy sauce don't work. All right, that it leads to too many complications, too many harmful side effects. All right, so this is going to be their way of saying that, the RFID CHIP or the brain CHIP is more ethical. The book of Isaiah 10:1, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievousness which they have prescribed." So yeah, all they have to do is draft it as a law and pass it from the Senate to the Congress. Okay. And then, it becomes a law. And next thing you know, that they're enforcing it as a law. And for those that don't want to accept that, then they'll be shut out from society by way of being separated. All right. They don't care if you're going to die of starvation, being thirsty, being hungry, being homeless. All right. Because you didn't bow down to, follow their way. So once you don't accept, the MOT to the B, and you're not able to buy and sell, all right, it's going to get to the point where they're not just going to allow you to be, homeless, filling up the streets. They're going to take people to where concentration camps. They're going to lock you up in prison. And an ultimatum will be given. Either you take it or either you're beheaded. But that's gonna, cause some to trust even more in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and others that are weak-minded, that are weak, will go ahead and take it. All right, they're going to conform and consent, hoping that they can get their lives back. But it's only going to put you on a straight path to your demise, because everybody that take it is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. All right, even if you have to be beheaded for not receiving the M to the O to the T to the B, the C hip or the brain C hip, then you will be raised back up if you're beheaded to reign with Yahushua for 1,000 years. Revelation 20:4, and I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua and for the word of Yahweh, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their forehead or in their hands. For those of you that say that if you get it in the left hand, you're good because you didn't get it in the right hand. All right, it does not matter where you take it. If you took it, you took it, which means that you're about to take a missile. And they lived and reigned with Yahushua 1,000 years. Okay, so those that resist, and overcome, they're going to get the victory through Yahushua, but those that take it are going to be destroyed by thermonuclear fire. So with that, I truly hope that this lesson was edifying or praises or honor and glory be unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, double honors to our apostles, our elders at Great Millstone that taught us his truth and who rule well. Peace and love, say, taste and mercy be unto the hopeful elect. Shalom, Abad, Babar, Kwam Bakayam. Shalom.